Welcome back. You're watching Visions. I'm Helen Rochecouste, and if you've just joined us, we're talking to Philip Benwell, the National Chairman of the Australian Monarchist League. Welcome back to the program, Philip.
Thank you.
So what is the Australian Monarchist League?
Well, we are an incorporated association. We're a not-for-profit organisation.
Yes.
We were formed in 1943 originally, but we revised ourselves in 1993 to face the Republican threat, as we call it. And we fought the referendum campaign. We were on the Constitutional Convention, and we've been keeping a watching brief, defending the Queen, the Crown, and the Constitution ever since.
And if anybody wants to learn more about this league, they can do an online search?
Yes, they can go to www.monarchist.org.au and they will come to our website. We have a wealth of information. We have an archive situation going back many, many years, so they can research the campaigns in 1999 and all the things that we've done since, all the writings and the papers and the research into our constitutional crown. We also have a downloadable program for teachers and students. We have a Q&A section where students have sent in questions and we've given answers, and those are all online. So there's a lot that they can see there. In fact, we recently received an email from a 15-year-old to say that he'd been asking questions but not been able to get any answers, and he found our website and all the answers that he'd ever been looking for were there, and he was very grateful to us for doing that. And it was very encouraging to us because it made all the work that has gone into putting the website up worthwhile.
Yeah, especially with a young person.
Exactly.
So why are you a monarchist, Philip?
Well, I'm a monarchist not because I get up in the morning and bow 3 times before a portrait of the Queen, or
say thou gracious Queen,
or because I am an avid collector of royal memorabilia, which I'm not really. I am a monarchist because I believe implicitly in our system of constitutional monarchy. I think it is the best system devised. It's one of the most modern systems. I mean, whereas the monarchy is an old system, constitutional monarchy is a new system. And it's evolved over several hundred years into what we have today. It's not perfect by any means, but I believe it is the most perfect system that we have at present. It's the only system that can keep in check politicians. Because don't forget, in ages old, the king was the only check against the excesses of the barons. And now the crown is the only check we have against the excesses of politicians.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a system that works, as we've seen in this country. I mean, I believe in Australia we have a far better system than even in the United Kingdom itself. Because in Australia, the people decide on change to our constitution. In the United Kingdom, it's the Parliament that decides. And in the United Kingdom, we have seen with their entry into the European Union an erosion of British sovereignty, an erosion of British laws. That could never happen in this country because the people would never allow it. I mean, out of 44 referendums, only 8 have passed, and most of those have been about things that we would all agree with anyway.
Yes, yes.
So it's the people that maintain the power. The politicians aren't able to get away with the sorts of things they can get away with, even in other countries that are under the crown.
Yes, yes.
So we've got a wonderful system in this country, a wonderful country, and let's not destroy what we've got just because some people don't like certain things that we have.
Yes, absolutely. So, Philip, what is your vision for the monarchy in Australia?
I would like to see a greater civics education program. I mean, there's very little teaching on our colonial heritage, on our Federation and post-Federation heritage, and these are momentous events in the history of this nation. And I mean, when you look at the suffering that many of our colonial explorers went through, the bravery of them to chart an unknown territory, yeah, and to create what we've got. When you look at Federation, the people that gathered around tables and drew up this magnificent constitution with a magnificent preamble, I mean, this is largely unknown. I mean, you've got Edmund Barton, our first Prime Minister. Most Australians wouldn't even know the name.
No.
And Edmund Barton coined that magnificent phrase, we have a nation for a continent and a continent for a nation.
Mm. Absolutely.
But you ask people, they wouldn't know. Mm. And that's because of a lack of civics education. I think it's a purposeful lack of civics education by successive governments, because they want to retain power in their hands and keep the people from knowing what a rich heritage we have. And a heritage that is uniquely Australian, a heritage that has created a uniquely Australian identity, and it's an identity under the Crown.
Yes.
And that's what makes us so great and so different from other nations. And that's why so many people from throughout the world want to come to this country.
Mm. Thank you so much, Philip, for your time, for your insight, and for your passion into the monarchist constitution.
It's my pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've been watching Visions. I'm Helen Rochecouste, and our special guest today was Philip Benwell, the National Chairman of the Australian Monarchist League. Thank you for your company, and see you next week.